Hello, it's been a long time since I did a video. Can't remember how long, longer than 6 months ago, I know. But this video is for a specific purpose. Well, two specific purposes actually. Number one, it's about my new YouTube channel, The Highway of Change. So you may want to subscribe. Hey, do you like the automation? Follows my philosophy. Keep it simple. And the second one is, some of you may recall at the end of last year I put up an idea called UAsk, IAnswer, this one. Yeah? And I said what I would do is I would take people's questions and answer them via video. So that's what I'm going to start with today, would you believe? And I've had a few questions sent in. What I've done is I've selected one question sent in by More Automation, Ed Shaw. Ed Shaw is an organisational change manager who works for Penn State University in the US. He actually sent in 3 questions, but I picked out one. And his question was, how do you best capture, demonstrate, report on the value or effectiveness of OCM efforts applied to any given initiative? What a great question to start with. I'll do my best to answer that, and I think I'm going to break it down. Well, I'm going to definitely break it down into 3 parts. The 3 parts are 1, communication, 2 is business readiness, and 3, adoption and usage. So let's start with communication. As we all know, and all the surveys tell us, communication is probably the key aspect in terms of ensuring a successful change initiative. So, if that's the case, it's actually imperative that you measure it. Let's take this at a very simple level. As I said right at the beginning, my philosophy is about simplicity. Let's say you have ascertained that your impacted stakeholders have said that they prefer to be communicated via email and secondly, intranet. Okay, how do you measure that? So the first thing is, let me give you an example. If you want to send out a project update as an attachment to an email, what you might want to do is put on that email a read receipt. So once they get it and people read it, you get the read receipt back. So what you can say is I sent out X number of emails and X number of people have read it. What you might also want to do, as well as attaching the document, is uploading that document onto an intranet if you use one, and put a link into the email to enable people to access that document via the intranet. Okay, and what you can then do, as well as this stats from your read receipt, is check via your intranet how many people have actually accessed that document. And you combine the email stats with the intranet access stats, and you have an indication there of how effective your communication is. Okay. If you use enterprise social networking sites like Yammer or Slack, they have inbuilt mechanisms for analysis and tracking your uploads and stuff like that. So that's another area you might want to think about. So what's the aim of measuring communication? It's actually to demonstrate that all the effort that you're putting into your communication approach is paying off through increased engagement, which is what it's all about, thereby heightening people's awareness of what exactly is going on in relation to the project, and then that will be hopefully demonstrated through business readiness, which is my next area. Business readiness. I would argue that this is probably the oft forgotten area of any project. People tend not to measure business readiness. I've gone into many project situations and said, the first thing I've said is, are you measuring how readiness your business are in relation to go live? And they say, no. Okay, so do it. How do you do it? You do it through a series of qualitative questions under predetermined areas, like things like leadership, communication, processes and procedures, training, etc. You can add an appropriate scoring system and a target score, and you track how the business is progressing toward that on a cyclical basis. So as an example, if it's a 6-month project, you might want to start off with your first business readiness questionnaire, which is the baseline, and then every month after that, send out the same questionnaire to the same people on a regular basis, and basically track their replies against your scoring system, okay? Sometimes if you get a score that either remains static or goes down, this kind of indicates it's an area for concern. So what it immediately enables you to do is focus in on that area of concern and do something about it. So look at it, analyze it and say, okay, this is the problem. This is what we need to do to solve the problem. Then hopefully what will happen is when you next do your next cyclical business readiness exercise is if those interventions have worked, then that score will either remain level or show an increase, and after that hopefully it will increase, which as I said will demonstrate that you've actually done something about it and it's worked. So what is business readiness all about? The aim of business readiness tracking for me is about achieving or be as close as possible to the predetermined target score for go live, and that will demonstrate the readiness of the business to work with the new solution, which will hopefully help, well it will help, with adoption and usage, which is my next area. I call adoption and usage the holy grail of change management, because at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. It's what you want to achieve, okay? Adoption and usage, don't forget, starts well before the implementation or go live date, okay? And what you need to do is start considering what kind of measures you want to measure in relation to adoption and usage well before your go live or implementation date. Also remember that adoption and usage goes well on after implementation and go live for sometimes weeks and more likely months. So you need to make sure that you are still measuring the adoption and usage process well past your go live date, okay? And as I said, it's important to design a robust tracking mechanism to track adoption and usage. Remember, there's a difference between adoption and usage. And what's the difference? Adoption equals the percentage of people actively using the system or the application that you're implementing, and usage equals the amount and the level of use. So what's the aim of measuring adoption and usage? Is to get as many users both adopting and using the system rather than continuing with their old ways of working. As I said, this is the single most important aspect of demonstrating the value of your change management effort. Okay, Ed, I hope I've answered your questions, and anyone else who might be viewing this video, I hope that's given you an idea of how some of the ways of actually measuring how successful you are with your change management effort. Okay, this is the first one. There will be more. Please send in questions and I'll put the contact details in the comments below this video, and I will answer them probably, or I'll answer some of them, selected ones, on a, I think, weekly basis, but that's dependent on obviously how many questions I get. So thank you for listening and see you next time.